Hey, what's going on, everybody? This is Tyrone back with Tech Life. And in this video, I wanted to give you an update of what I'm hearing internally at T-Mobile. And it kind of ties in with this article a bit. I know this article is older. We've already talked about this. But how I wanted to tie this in for the information. So in order for T-Mobile to move to this next phase of moving 2.5 beyond 100 megahertz, a lot of that is going to be dependent on the shutdown of the Sprint network come June of this year. Once they shut the network down completely, then of course they have access to all of the Sprint assets that they can now dedicate to 5G, move it off of the Sprint network. And now we're going to start seeing an accelerated pace at that point, 120, 140, 160 megahertz of this spectrum being moved over to N41. Now, some of that we'll already see happening now in the first half. But as I mentioned, it's going to accelerate once the Sprint network is completely shut down. So what I wanted to talk about today is something that T-Mobile hasn't publicly disclosed. So there's more details to come. I think I briefly mentioned it in a previous video where I told you guys the third and fourth quarter of this year, emails will start going out. Now, I don't know the specific details on what additional incentives T-Mobile is going to offer to accelerate the entire migrating entire Sprint accounts. I have been made aware that integration of financing could potentially be offered to where your Sprint financing, if you still have an outstanding finance, could just be transferred over to the T-Mobile side. But just briefly to throw this in, I think they are dropping the ball on the 20% codes that a Sprint customer that would be willing to migrate to get the 20% cannot do so. And they clearly stated that in the article that Sprint, Boost can't take advantage of the 20% if they migrate. So I think that would be an incentive, but T-Mobile kind of dropped the ball on that. So here's what I'm hearing. So messages are being sent out internally, and this is something that T-Mobile has not disclosed publicly. So this is unofficial, that come June 2023, the entire Sprint system is going to be shut down. That includes any customer service, the IT, the plans, the app. All of that is shut down by June 2023. So at that point, of course, you would already have to have been migrated over completely to the Magenta base. So the acceleration of that, of course, is going to happen months prior. And then, of course, by that time, 2023, they will have full access to do so per the agreement with the FCC. So they can start moving the base over to the Magenta side aggressively. And as it gets closer to the June date, and of course, like I mentioned, there will be more details to come out in the coming weeks. But as we get closer to that date, there'll be some forceful migrations happening if there are some customers out there that are just not willing to migrate. So that's the info that I wanted to put out to make you guys aware. The base that's still on the Sprint side to start. I would say start looking into migrating. Start having your financing ready to go, and structure a deal that could potentially work for you. As a migrating base, once you migrate over to the T-Mobile side and you're on a Magenta plan, if these codes come out as we have now with 20% off for existing customers, try to take advantage of those deals if you can. So as it stands right now, migrating, you can't take advantage of the code, but once you are on the existing base, you should be able to take advantage of that code. But that's just the info that I'm hearing. Very rough examples that I'm getting sent to me. So there'll be more details to come. But of course, that's unofficial until it's publicly announced. But June of 23 is what they're targeting for the complete shutdown of the Sprint's back end system, everything. You know, the app, as I mentioned, if there's any other customer service left out there, the billing system, any IT related systems, that's what they're targeting to be completely shut down as June of 2023. So let me know what you think about that. Let me know if you already are anticipating something like that happening. I mean, you know, T-Mobile owns Sprint. Sprint is done. You know, Sprint is finished. You know, I know there's some people that are still in denial, some that still can't believe it. But, you know, the Sprint base, you know, the brand, everything, it's done. T-Mobile now owns it. They are now the leading brand, and for the synergies to work and to accelerate, they need to go ahead and do this. Stay tuned to the channel for more updates and info. Make sure you guys like, share, subscribe. Make sure you follow my social media outlets for more updates and interactions. This is Tyrone with Tech Life. Thanks again for watching. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.